Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Delta Entertainment. I am your host, Lincoln Kenobi. And before we get started, I would like you guys please hit that like button and please subscribe to my channel. Would appreciate that very, very much. All right, let's get into this. It looks like the View has got somebody that's in the show that did some heinous act and got in federal prison, and now he's been released. So he got invited to the View, and I can tell you the View is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. So here we go. Anthony Weiner, a Democrat convicted of sending inappropriate material to a child, applauded on Disney's The View. Yeah. I'll tell you right now, dude. If somebody applauded for something like that, I would just. I tell you, bro, it's just so ridiculous. So let's take a read at this. It's going to be a long article, so let's take a read and see what this is. Disney's daytime platform, The View, hit a new low this week when it welcomed former disgraced criminal Congressman Anthony Weiner back into the spotlight, not with accountability, but applause. For those unfamiliar with his history, Weiner isn't just known for a string of personal controversies that derail his political career. He served time in federal prison for conduct sending inappropriate materials to a minor. His name is now permanently listed in a federal registry designated for individuals convicted of similar offenses involving inappropriate conduct. And yet The View, a short under Disney's umbrella, handed him the red carpet treatment. How could they do that, bro? How could they bring someone like that into the show, bro? From the moment he walked on stage, the tone was lighthearted. Joy Behar quipped about this person stinked jokingly, spouting lines like, Anthony, when you got out of the who's go, which made light of the situation. The audience clapped, the hosts laughed along. The only host who didn't clap was Ana Navarro, who sat with her hands folded in her lap and seemed visibly uncomfortable during the interview, even listing out Weiner's various scandals and crimes in a monotone voice. Hey, Anna, that's your friends, bro. That's your people. Maybe you should have walked away. Outside of Navarro listing his offenses, at no point was the gravity of Weiner's past truly addressed. Instead, Weiner was allowed to spin it all as a journey. He compared himself to Andrew Cuomo and even President Donald Trump, claimed personal growth, positioned himself as a true teller in a broken system. Despite insisting that he wasn't there to make excuses, Weiner spent much of the interview doing exactly that. He cited personal tragedy in the loss of his brother, framed his behavior as the result of needing validation, and describing his past actions and vague enthusiasms rather than calling them what they were. I don't understand this show, man. How could they bring a guy like that into there and they don't probably push the questions on him? Like, why would you do this kind of thing, bro? They don't push it, man. Anna could have done something. Anna could have said something. At one point, he even suggested that the voters should support him because of his so-called journey, as if the path that led him to federal prison somehow qualified him for public office. This wasn't accountability. It was carefully crafted attempt at image rehabilitation, wrapped in just enough contrition to win applause. He even tried to soften the facts with absurd and euphemisms, like describing his interactions with people by saying sometimes it was something inappropriate. No, it wasn't just inappropriate, it was criminal. And minimizing to vague language is precisely what someone does when they're trying to re-enter public life without truly facing public accountability. Perhaps the most audacious moment in the interview came when Weiner attempted to reframe his conviction as a kind of spiritual crucible, going so far as to invoke Catholicism. Bro, this is insane, dude. And this is what he also said. This is what he said. You know, I'm Jewish, but they have this notion in Catholicism: you suffer for a reason, or so you can be of service at the other end. This is not spiritual growth, it's exploitation of faith to justify re entering public life. To invoke the language of religious atonement and services in the context of a conviction involving a minor is beyond inappropriate. It reduces serious misconduct to a mere life lesson, and worse, it hijacks theology of Cass himself as the reformed servant on the other side of suffering. No one suffers more in stories like these than the people affected by the offender's actions, and they were nowhere in that conversation. Weiner's remarks weren't humble; they were calculated and deeply offensive to anyone who actually believes redemption begins with silence, not a spotlight. All this felt like a bizarre twist on redemption that seemed to downplay the severity of this action. And Joy Behar, The View, and Disney's ABC went along with it like a bunch of idiots. So why would he do that then? The answer appears simple. He was the right things about Trump. He says the right things about Trump. Weiner repeatedly drew comparisons between himself and the former president, suggesting that his own troubles were more forgettable because at least he had taken responsibility. The View's host nodded along. When he criticized Trump, he got applause. When he talked about his ambitions to return to public office, no one pushed back with any seriousness. At one point, he described himself as a damn good politician. One of the show's hosts, it sounded like Behar, but I can't be sure, responded with, "Yeah, you are." They invite a federal criminal. They invite a federal criminal into their show, applaud him for his damn crime, for his freaking crime, giving him like if he was given a second chance and everything. And of course, they use that to try to bully Donald Trump, man. And seriously, that's the bar now. The man sent inappropriate images to a 50-year-old girl. I don't care what his voting record is. I don't care how great he is at campaigning. The View didn't just offer Anthony Weiner a platform, they offered him validation, and the studio audience, eager to comply with the growing applause sign, responded in one cue when what Disney and its talk show did here was a vile, willful rewriting of history in real time. Dressed up as a daytime television, at one point, Sarah Haynes had flat out embraced the narrative he was selling, asking if messaging inappropriately with strangers was your drug of choice, so to speak. She then followed that up with the question, have you been able to stay clean? This is all about legitimized the idea that his past wasn't about personal responsibility, but something he caught like a cold. It's one thing for Weiner to make excuses. It's another for national television personalities to validate them on Disney's dime. Perhaps no moment captured the moral rot of this segment better than Joy Behar's bizarre attempt to pivot into a gender-based lament where she listed off a number of politicians with scandals and nodded that all of them were men. Why is it that two qualified women could not beat all of you guys? Winner Anthony in the name with names like Cuomo, Clinton, Trump, and Spessar, as if the only thing trying them together was gender, not serious misconduct. Not once did she mention the real reason he should never hold public office again, his criminal behavior involving a minor instead. The conversation became a political TED talk about how men are harder to beat in elections, completely ignoring the actual elephant in the room. That's why the View. That's why the View is terrible, man. They suck at what they do, bro. And then, unbelievably and infrequently, that setup gave Anthony Weir the opportunity to step into the role of a champion for women. Oh my God. Champion for women? The same man who admitted to exchange inappropriate messages with 84 people, one of whom was 15, was now suddenly reflecting on the challenges women face in politics. He spoke of his ex-wife, Huma Abedin's experience of Hillary Clinton's laugh being criticized, and how women are unfairly scrutinized for everything from their tone to their clothing. On its face, none of that is necessarily wrong, but coming from him, it was obscene. This wasn't a man reckoning with his past. It was a man strategically invoking the language of progressivism to paint himself as evolved, enlightened, and deserving of another chance. And the View let him do it. They didn't stop him. Heck, they didn't set him up for it. They didn't challenge the irony. They applauded it, bro. They gave him a soft seat and a second act where he got a virtue signal in front of the clapping audience, while the girl whose life was affected by his actions wasn't mentioned once. Let's be honest. If this was a conservative with the same record, he wouldn't get within 100 feet of the Disney-owned talk show. There would be no soft questions, no applause, no jokes. He'd be persona non grata. But Anthony Weiner says all the right things according to the View. He criticizes the right people. He called Donald Trump a 34 times convicted felon. And that apparently is enough for the Disney executives behind the View. This isn't just a double standard, it's a signal. It tells America that if you hold the right views, the corporate media will forgive just about anything. They'll help repackage you as a sympathetic voice. They'll frame your past as a part of brave comeback, and they'll do it without ever mentioning the real victims who are affected. The public deserves better, especially from a company that claims to support families, children, and integrity. If Weiner wants to rebuild his life privately, that's his business. But to be granted a platform on daytime television, framed as a comeback story by the company that claims to stand for family values, is more than just one tone deaf. It's a disgrace. Definitely a disgrace, man. I don't know what. I don't know what is going on, dude. I'm gonna tell you this right now. If I was in charge of that View, and if I read the decision trying to bring this type of guy in there, I would have said, cut the show, cut it. You guys are off the air as of right now. Boom, gone. How can you invite this guy into this show after what he's done? And not one of you don't even push. But it's like I said, dude. These people are far in the far left way too much, man. They are in there deep. But hey, that's why their ratings are going to go down. That's why their ratings in the View are going to go down real bad. So you guys let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think of this, bro? So please, by all means, share this video. Post a comment below. Let me know your thoughts about this. And as always, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being part of the channel. And I hope to see you guys until next time. Bye, everyone.